Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about why I'm pretty excited about a sequel to a movie that, personally, I didn't really enjoy. We're going to be looking at Captain Marvel 2, what details we know of its production, what rumors are going around about it, and finally, some stuff about the X-Men. Before we get into all of that, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more reviews, news, and clues about all things comics. Now here's the thing, and I'm going to go ahead and get this right out of the gate. I didn't like Captain Marvel all that much. We don't need to get into this whole thing again. I've talked about my view on this movie on this channel a couple of times before, but I think it suffered from a lot of problems that, while I didn't hate, left me feeling very bored throughout. Though you might be surprised to hear I am actually quite excited about Captain Marvel 2 overall. Perhaps it's because this movie feels so unshackled with all of the unnecessary burdens placed on this character already. She doesn't have to be introduced and inserted in between two parts of a much larger story. She doesn't have to exist to tell her origin story or as some sort of weird prequel. Brie Larson doesn't have to be actively suppressing her emotions as a function of her character like she was in the first movie, or at least not as much anymore. All that crap is gone and hopefully a thing of the past. Better yet, it seems like the creative forces behind the first Captain Marvel movie have moved on to WandaVision, as much as I understand. And while that bodes terribly for WandaVision, it means Captain Marvel 2 will benefit from a new creative energy behind the scenes, and that to me is the most important sign in all of this. Different direction could turn Captain Marvel into gold, as the potential for fun is all there. Brie Larson is pretty great, though I forgive people for not knowing this based on her time in the MCU. But with just a little bit of tweaking, I think this could all really work. It also, of course, assumes the movie is still going to be made. It'll happen, I'm sure, it's just become less clear when exactly that's going to be. Captain Marvel 2 was still in pre-production from what I understand before the coronavirus effectively put on hold any new Hollywood projects, and even the active schedule of the MCU with the release of the Black Widow movie delayed indefinitely. So who knows what or when any of this is going to happen. But Captain Marvel 2, slated to come out in 2022, is in an unclear state given how far away that is from now, and it still might not be affected by any of this. In the meantime, rumors have been flying around about what Captain Marvel 2 will be, who is in it, and what it's about. I've heard a lot of talk that this story might incorporate the Marvel Comics storyline Secret Invasion, but I'm skeptical as hell about that. For one thing, we got a huge taste of that storyline already in the first Captain Marvel movie, which, in spite of my issues with the movie itself, did a very good job at actually subverting that story and making the Skrulls ultimately side with Carol Danvers. People seem to think that they are the next big thing in the MCU in general, perhaps due to the ending of Far From Home kind of setting up Nick Fury being in space, which I'm sure will be related to Captain Marvel 2, but I have trouble believing this is all just going to be about the Skrulls, or at least I hope that's not the case. We really don't need a situation where Captain Marvel is just a character who goes up against only the Skrulls. That's very boring to me. It also won't do a good job at accomplishing Marvel's current larger goal, which undoubtedly is to bring the X-Men and the Fantastic Four into the MCU. And I don't think that happens without some sort of reality-changing event to explain their appearance. That's not something the Skrulls would do, and ignores the fact that the MCU very much seems to keep on teasing the idea of a multiverse more than anything else, certainly more than the Skrulls. But that all brings us to the second wave of rumors floating around Captain Marvel 2. Two actors, Henry Cavill and Sophie Turner, are both thought to be in Captain Marvel 2, leading to all sorts of speculation of them playing Wolverine and Jean Grey, or some sort of thing like that. Again, I am very skeptical about these rumors, not just because the source of them seems to be literal blog posts from gossip sites that read like fanfiction, but also, I just don't see the mutants being introduced so quickly. It would be insane to suggest that the mutants have been around this whole time in the MCU, but have thus far gone unnoticed. It's going to have to be a bigger plot point than that. My guess is that Cavill and Turner are playing other characters if they are indeed in Captain Marvel 2, and that movie is just going to be what it should be, a story about Captain Marvel. Now that being said, I'm not just here to downplay other ideas and rumors. I actually have some thoughts of my own about where Captain Marvel could go from here, because we are at a point where it's hard to just have a standard, simple superhero movie. You usually have to offer a little bit more, some sort of connection to the larger narrative. And I think I know a great way they could do that, but I don't have any information suggesting they will do that. This is just what I would do if I were in their situation. Because see, there's something really fun about Captain Marvel, is that she actually does have an enemy in common with the X-Men that could easily be introduced into the MCU without the X-Men, would fit in right with Captain Marvel's world and the general direction of her character, and be a sort of soft hint of things to come. I am referring to the Brood. These sinister aliens would be cool as hell to show on film, and though it really wouldn't offer a lot of direct hints about the X-Men in the MCU, since they would just be random aliens, us fans would know exactly what their presence would mean, and I find that very exciting. Best of all, it does something I think would be essential for the future of Captain Marvel's character, featuring aliens other than the Kree and Skrull. Because, like I said, one of the worst things they could do is to tether Carol Danvers to those two alien races and make every story with her about them. Studios have a weird habit to fall into that sort of trap with certain characters, and it absolutely must be avoided for the good of this character's future. So there you have it, my thoughts, opinions, and what I know about Captain Marvel 2. There isn't a lot out there yet, but it's still pretty exciting, and it's interesting to explore certain movies and upcoming stuff like that every once in a while. But it does leave me kind of interested in maybe exploring the Brood themselves more in the future, so stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.